the All-Star game tonight. He is the lone representative for your St. Louis Cardinals. Good to have you with us this afternoon. Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang until 1 o'clock. Normally we spend this first half hour talking with manager Ollie Marmol on Tuesdays. We do it every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, but it's All-Star break, so we're giving the manager some time off here. We're going to talk to Alex Coyle, who is going to be with the show in 12:30. He calls games for the Memphis Redbirds, so we'll get a little AAA report from him, minor league report, because the draft just happened as well. Bernie Miklasz, we will talk about the draft, in just a little bit, but we're at this official halfway point of the season, even though they played more than 81 games. They played 97 so far. Just, as you look at the team and where they are right now, what do you think? What is your first feeling when you think about the 2025 Cardinals at the break?
Number one, they've exceeded expectations, which I very much appreciate. Number two, I don't think, however, they're a playoff team. That's pretty much how I would sum it up. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I would bet against it, even though it's possible.
See, that's kind of, I think I'm leaning toward where you are. I think in my heart of hearts, I kind of know what this team is, and probably have known for a while. But the fact they're only a game and a half out of a wild card spot, there's just that little bit of hope.
Sure.
And you don't want to let go of it, even though you got that voice that's back here, and it's telling you, hey, this may not happen this year, and it just doesn't look like that's the path they're going down.
And, Ranj, you know me by now, for better or for worse, because I'm irritating
better.
in
Definitely
some
better.
ways. Okay. And I don't arrive at that opinion, kind of willy-nilly. I was just looking at a lot of the trends. A lot of the trends are working against them. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, where I'm more of a pessimist about them making the playoffs than I am an optimist. I mean, their offense has been, has scored no runs or one run in the number of games that, like, tied for second most in the National League. And they can get away with that if the starting pitching is good. But since the Cardinals are in a 19-22 stretch, and over that time, their rotation ERA is 28th in the league, and the rotation, like the quality start percentage, rotation has really fallen off. So that, in other words, if you have a strong rotation and, for the first 38 or 39 games or so, the Cardinals had the 10th best starting pitching ERA in the majors. Since then, it's 28th. So you really can't overcome an offense that's inconsistent and has these low scoring games. You're not going to be able to overcome them when your starting pitching is so bad. That's what it comes down to for me, really.
Yeah, the season to me has always been about sustainability, because they got off to a good start. They were pitching well. Not everything was going well, but offense was good. Pitching was good. Took a little time for the bullpen to settle in, but eventually it did settle in and has been really the most effective thing they've had going for a while is the bullpen, right. The thing you feel the most confident about. But like you said, multiple shutouts over a couple of weeks period with 6 shutouts. And the starting rotation just not giving them enough quality innings. I would say if you were looking at this team from a distance or from the outside and didn't have any, and we all to an extent wear some Cardinals rosy red glasses. Some of us more than others, obviously. But I think if you didn't have those on and you were looking at the team from 30,000 feet, I don't think that you would pick this to be a playoff team this year. But still mathematically, of course, there's all kinds of time and they're not that far out. But I think looking at the trends, it doesn't look great.
Right. And, I want to give you some credit for something. I really did, because earlier in the season when Matthew Liberatore was going really well, you were cautious, and you cautioned the rest of us that, hey, the innings load, there's a question about how well he'll handle that. Can he sustain that? And as it turns out, he still may finish strong, but there has been a glaring drop off in his performance. Like, his strikeout rate has been collapsing. So you were You were 100% correct to point that out as a possibility. But there's a couple of other factors where I'm more on the pessimistic side. The Cardinals, in terms of performance value that has been lost because of injuries, comes from Baseball Prospectus. The Cardinals, in terms of how it affects their performance with player value, has been the least impacted team in the majors because of injuries. And a lot of the teams that they have been competing against for a wild card spot have been walloped. I mean, walloped by injuries. So the Cardinals have been very fortunate on the injury front, and yet they didn't really get ahead of some of these other teams that were really suffering much more serious injuries. And if that flips on the Cardinals at all in the second half or after the break, that's usually these things do even out over the course of the year. So I don't know whether the Cardinals are overdue for some bad injury luck. I hope not. So we'll see. That's the other thing. Then one other thing, and I'll be quick because this is hardly a revelation. A lot of these teams that have huge payrolls that they're vying with for a wild card spot, I think we all can agree these teams like the Mets and the Padres and the Giants, I can mention a couple others. They're going to go big at the trade deadline, right? I don't think the Cardinals will. It's not to say they won't try to improve the team, but it'll be a modest move. These other teams are going to be going, blockbuster. So that's another thing I think about.
Yeah, and I don't think the Cardinals, they're just not in position to do that. I don't know. Right. Number one, they have the assets to pull off something huge that helps them this year. And number two, and it's a close number two, so it might be 1A, 1 and 1A. I just don't think I like this team. I think they've overperformed for most of the year. I just don't. This is going to sound awful the way I'm about to say it, but I swear to you, I don't mean it this way. I don't think this particular version of the Cardinals would be worth blowing it out to get deadline help. They're a game and a half out of a wild card, which means they still have a real good opportunity to be a playoff team. But this is not like, and I likened it to, you mentioned the Cubs, a team that's probably going to go, I would imagine they're going to get pretty aggressive here before the deadline. Who knows? They may not. But that's the team that leads the division. And I think about when they won the World Series, they had a good enough team to win the whole thing, I think. And then they went and got Aroldis Chapman. They traded their best prospect for a closer. This is not the kind of team that you would do that with. The Cardinals right now are not that kind of team. But the Cubs this year might be. The Mets, the Tigers, teams like that. Those are teams that are going to be aggressive at the deadline. The Phillies are going to be aggressive before the end of the month.
And A.J. Preller, the Padres general manager, is among the most aggressive.
Oh, he's always like that,
dudes. Yeah. Right. And the Giants under Buster Posey are more aggressive than they've been in a long time. The Brewers are interesting because it seems like it really doesn't matter what they do. They may actually trade away one of their best players and somehow
still
get
make the
better
playoffs.
Because of, yeah. But no, and listen, and that's the thing. I mean, I was listening to something Matt Holliday said it in an interview about the Cardinals and the fact that they're inconsistent, and he wanted to know what he thought about what they should do or where they are approaching the deadline. And he said, they're in that place where it's always not the best place to be. He said, they're kind of in the middle. They're pretty good, but what do? You can't do anything drastic. You have limitations. Sometimes being a good team, but probably not as good as the teams that are going to make the playoffs. It gives you hope, but you have to use your head. You have to think clearly about, okay, unless we're going to go really big and set part with some of our future for this season, they're just, you're not going to upgrade the team enough to where you can match the firepower of what these other teams will do at the deadline. And he explained that a lot more succinctly than I did. Geez, imagine that. But no, his point was a really good one, and that's coming from a pro and from someone who really loves the Cardinals too.
And by the way, if you're going to give me credit for the Matthew Liberatore thoughts from weeks ago, I want you to also criticize me heavily for saying the Brewers were dead. The Brewers were dead. Don't worry about the Brewers. 2 months ago, I said it, and now look at them. They're doing the thing the Brewers always do every single year. Every single year.
Dude, if you can beat yourself up, and I appreciate that. Accountability is a lot of credibility there. But, I mean, they're like everybody discounted the Brewers. Even people like in the media, prominent media people and nationally that I do value their opinion. Everybody can't be right all the time. But a lot of people that have just been marveling at the Brewers were saying going into this year, well, I think it finally caught up to them. I think they've run out of that Brewer magic. I don't think it's going to happen this year. And I kind of thought that way too. So you're hardly alone, man.
It's unbelievable. The Gashouse Gang is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, and by Anderson Hospital. Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji, check in with us. You know, Cardinals are at the half, just passed, but it is the All-Star break, and like to know your thoughts. Also, the draft. They made a bunch of picks. It looks like an organizational philosophy is a little bit different than it may have been in the past. Your thoughts on all of it. Let us know if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. You can leave your comment. You can also text in 314-436-7900. Bernie and Ranji on the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX.
The Dave Glover Show.
If you sit down with me and we talk about who I am, what I am, my values, political, voting record, you're never going to walk away and go, that guy's a bleeding heart progressive. I'm just not stupid. And I just don't take bait. And I just don't do things because you tell me to, or that I'm afraid that if I don't, fall in line or get on the bandwagon, people aren't going to like me. Been there, done that for years.
The Dave Glover Show, now on FM 104.1 FM KMOX.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
KMOX is now on 104.1 FM. The same great station with even better sound.
Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang, 104.1 FM KMOX. Cardinals are at the trade deadline, or excuse me, at the All-Star break. The trade deadline is a couple of weeks away. And you were talking about injuries, Bernie, and how this team here has been pretty good about staying healthy. And Graham is watching us on YouTube and says that the Cubs had 2 frontline starters on IL. I mean, Justin Steele's not pitching for them all year. And Shota was injured for a while, Shota Imanaga. And he says it didn't seem to affect them very much. So what I would say about that, and I'd like to get your take on it, is that's probably the sign of a really good team, is one that can withstand 2 frontline starter injuries and then be able to still be in first place, or the favorite to win the division, kind of like the Cardinals when they lost. Why is it escaping me now? Carpenter, when he got injured before the season started.
Yeah.
And they were just a good team.
Well, you can overcome a couple of starting pitching injuries, even to guys that are really, really good, if you are basically have the number one offense in Major League Baseball. The Cubs and the Dodgers are tied for runs per game, and the Cubs have the best OPS plus of any team in the majors, and I believe they have the best slugging percentage of any team in the majors, other than the Yankees. They hit a ton of home runs. They hit a ton of doubles. They got guys who can do damage from the top to the bottom of the lineup. They're a scary group in that regard. So that's, yeah, you can cover for injuries on the pitching end if you have an offense that performs at such consistently such a high level. Cardinals don't.
Yeah, so I don't know how the rest of this is going to go this season. I think it is, look, there's a possibility. Who knows? It could become a playoff team. I'm with you, though. I don't know that I'd bet on it. I'm still going to root for it and hope that something magical does happen down the stretch. But I've got concerns about, at least 3/5 of the rotation. That's the truth here. So we'll see how it goes. Bernie, I mentioned right before we went to the break that we had the Major League Baseball amateur draft, which happened. Liam Doyle is the number 1 overall pick, a hard-throwing left-hander. He was the 5th pick overall, Cardinals' number 1 pick in this past draft. We talked to Brian Walton from the CardinalsNation.com, and he said to us that he felt like it was a very clear indication that this team has a different draft philosophy now moving forward. And we don't know how any of these picks are going to pan out, but does it feel that way to you, too, that maybe this is a different direction for the organization?
No question about it. And I'm not surprised Brian Walton came up with that, because he follows this closely and has been tracking Cardinals drafts and prospects for a long time. It isn't just that they drafted this lefty out of Tennessee with the 5th overall pick, because that was the proverbial kind of no-brainer pick, because he has something that no one in that rotation has right now, other than Sonny Gray, which is the ability to throw the ball by hitters, big-time strikeout punch, big-time swing and miss punch, power pitcher, got the splitter that can really mess them up when they're looking for the fastball. And he'll be learning like a third pitch that he needs. He's been working on it already. But beyond him, I was reading capsules of their draft choices this morning, their entire draft, and I would welcome everyone to do the same. Just go to MLB.com and read John Denton, the beat writer, covers the Cardinals. He went through, okay, here's all of their draft picks, 1 through whatever round. I wish I would have written it down for this purpose, since we're talking about it. Just about they drafted a lot of pitchers, and just about every pitcher they drafted, there was reference to strikeout rate and swing and miss and power. And he throws 97, he throws 95, but he can get to 99. Like, they clearly had an objective to get as many power arms as they could. And they just haven't taken that kind of approach this aggressively at any time that I can remember. So this, to me, is their attempt to try to catch up to where the industry has gone. Power pitching. Listen, the craft of pitching, there's still a place for that. Guys like Jeff Suppan, there's still a place for that. But, man, you need to have some strikeout punch, and they seem to be making that a priority now.
Yeah, you know what this sort of feels like? It's like when an NFL team knows it badly needs offensive line help, so every pick, their first couple of picks, it's offensive line. That's the direction they're going out of need, because we've watched the Cardinals for the entire season, even though they were getting good results early in terms of pitching. That swing and miss problem, because they're not good at it. They're not good at strikeouts. They're not good at getting swings and misses. It has come back to hurt them as the season has gone on. So it's almost, I know that's not necessarily what they're doing because I think they realize this is a baseball-wide thing. You got to have swing and miss in order to win. This season just might be a perfect indication of that. This probably would have been their draft process anyway.
Yeah, and I think Randy Flores has done a really good job, and I think he's tried to, draft some power pitchers, and it doesn't always work out. But that's why you have to keep drafting, because there's so much about this draft that all drafts that are fluky. I mean, there are great teams that draft somebody who looks like a can't miss prospect, and it never really happens. And there are teams that will draft someone. In fact, I'm going to ask our guest about this when he comes on. They'll draft someone like a Nathan Church, who, when they drafted him, it's kind of like, okay, whatever. No, it made no immediate impression whatsoever. He was just a guy. And now he's a rising star in their system. So you have to wait a little while to see how it pans out. But the more power arms you draft, the more chance you have of developing them and getting to the majors. And they can be put in the majors as a reliever, and you never can have enough relievers. And the Cardinals bullpen does not strike out a lot of hitters either, especially with Ryan Helsley's strikeout rate being down. I saw MLB Network where they drafted that other pitcher from Tennessee, and I'm so bad with the names, Chris, and I apologize to you and the audience. But the kid they drafted in the second round or early third round, this big kid out of Tennessee who throws like 101. MLB said he could be like one of the big surprises of the draft because his stuff is just wow. I mean, he just overpowers pitchers. He doesn't always know where the ball's going, but he's another one that kind of fits this template that they want to fashion for themselves.
See, that's the thing about a hard-throwing pitcher when they're young. It doesn't always work out, but you can teach them a little bit of control. It's a little easier to do that than it is to go the other way and teach them more velocity. It's very, right. I mean, velocity, you can work on it. You can work on mechanics. You can work on training, getting your body in the right kind of shape to be able to throw hard. But some guys just naturally know how to do it really well, or just they do it. They don't know how. They just throw hard. That's a difficult thing to teach. So you'd rather have somebody that you have to teach control than somebody you have to teach velocity, because that second one really doesn't happen very often.
That's right. And I just, because I feel bad about this when I can't remember a name, so I apologize. Tanner Franklin, a real big giant of a man, right-handed pitcher from Tennessee. Big-time strikeout stuff. Their fourth-round guy, a left-handed pitcher, Cade Crossland from Oklahoma, big-time strikeout stuff.
Yeah, the lefty.
Yeah, all the way down the list. Every pitcher except for maybe one has the strikeout stuff. And the one guy that I didn't even put in that group just had Tommy John surgery, but they before he had to go get his elbow fixed, he was another high-velocity guy, and they think that he'll bounce back. So they may get a real steal in terms of, taking a shot at a guy who's coming off an injury.
The Gashouse Gang is sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, also by Anderson Hospital. It's Bernie Miklas and Chris Ranji with you. As Bernie mentioned, our next guest, Alex Coyle, is a play-by-play announcer for the Memphis Redbirds. That's the Triple-A team. We are going to talk to Alex when we come back on the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Named one of Newsweek's World's Best Hospitals for 2025, Anderson Hospital is your hospital for life, delivering exceptional, compassionate care to families across the Metro East. From emergency services to specialized treatments, our dedicated team supports your health at every stage. Experience world-class care close to home. Discover the difference at andersonhospital.org.
It is 89 degrees in St. Louis. Feels like 98 right now. Partly cloudy. Might get a stray thunderstorm this afternoon. The weather is brought to you by Financial and Tax Strategies.
It's never too early to start thinking about your retirement journey, and it's never too late either. You just need to know that the steps may look a little different. Listen to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg, Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
Chris Ranji for Siteman Cancer Center, and you have to know that you are somebody's favorite person, and your health matters not just to you, but it matters to people who care about you. Getting screened early for any cancer, whether it's colon or breast cancer, prostate cancer, or lung cancer, it is important to do that. Siteman has set up a website called GetScreenedNow.com. And when you go to it, it's going to help you find a location nearer you. If you live a little farther out from St. Louis and don't want to make the trip into the city, you can get screened closer to home. GetScreenedNow.com, because for me, I'm over 45. It's time for that colonoscopy. Third leading cause of cancer-related deaths in both men and women. And GetScreenedNow.com will help you find a location that is good for you. Doing it early, really, really important. GetScreenedNow.com.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fire Capital Management for your retirement highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
Baseball's All-Star Week is underway. Cardinals baseball, it returns Friday night when they take on the D-backs.
Cardinals Radio, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
That one's hit deep towards center field. That ball is gone. In his first game at AAA, J.J. Weatherholt homers to center field. 424 feet dead center. He has a triple and a homer.
J.J. Weatherholt seems like he might be pretty good. That's the voice of Alex Coyle, Memphis Redbirds play-by-play. Memphis Redbirds are the AAA affiliate of your St. Louis Cardinals. It is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. Bernie Miklas, Chris Ranji with you today until 1 o'clock. And we welcome in Alex, who joins us now as we are excited about J.J. Weatherholt, and we're hoping Alex is about to tell us that they're done with him at AAA and he's about to be on the big club soon. How's it going, Alex?
I'm doing really well. I am excited about J.J. Weatherholt, but as you just mentioned, who knows how long I'm going to get to see him. You guys might see that nice left-handed bat here in a couple days, maybe.
Man, I was excited from the moment they drafted him, and he's done nothing to lessen my enthusiasm. And I wonder, you've called games you've watched a lot of baseball. You've seen a lot of guys come through the minors or whatever. And in what other ways other than the stats does J.J. Weatherholt stand out to you?
I think it's just the calm composure that he brings to the situation, to the field, to managing really this last week, right? I think you think back to what he did. He was on the road with Springfield, 2 homers in his last game. He gets told that he's going to AAA. All right, now I got to drive to Memphis, get used to that, play a doubleheader in my first career AAA day, and then 2 days later, I got to fly down to Atlanta and lead off the NL team in the Futures game. And I think the way he handled that success, the way he attacked that, is really going to help him once he does have to make adjustments quickly at the major league level. Of course, he has a great swing, has good hands up the middle. We'll see where he plays positionally, but I think it's the poise and the young professionalism that he has.
We talked to him last week, and that was look, you hear this thing a lot. You hear this thing about players, certain players, that they just get it. This guy just gets it. He knows what it's like to be a ball player, and he will adjust perfectly when he gets to the major leagues. Is there truth to that? Because sometimes it feels like a thing we just say about a player. I got the impression he gets it. So is that a real thing?
I think it is. It's one of those things where you're not going to say it about a guy unless you feel it for it. Like, you don't even think about it if they don't have it, right? Like, that's just something that, a lot of guys that we see at AAA are really, really young, and you're like, okay, that doesn't even come to your mind. Oh, he doesn't have that yet. But once he does, or you get a guy like JJ so quickly that immediately has the understanding of it, that's the stuff that pops out. And I think that's what, good scouts that you'll see around the league and in the draft process that you guys just spoke about. That's part of the reason why the scouts have a job, and to gauge that. And when you get a guy that can handle situations quickly, that's why you see a guy move up like JJ.
Alex Coyle is with us. He is the Memphis Redbirds play-by-play man down at AAA, and so we got a great scout with Alex Coyle on the broadcast today. Alex, I wanted to ask you this. I was saying this before you got on. When the Cardinals, all these teams draft players, they draft guys in the 10th, 11th round, 8th round, and you're kind of like you kind of shrug because you don't really know what they've drafted right now. This brings us to Nathan Church. In 2020, they draft him. In 2020, they drafted him on the 11th round. Okay, why would it's like okay, whatever. He's coming on fast. I mean, he is coming on fast. His numbers at Memphis are phenomenal, and the Cardinals sent him to the Arizona. Feel about him. He's been at 3 different levels this season. I'm sorry. Tell us how good you think he is, and what are you hearing? Does he have the feel, the look of a fast track player to the majors?
Look, Nathan Church is one of the most California cool guys that you'll ever meet. Just the process of being just so laid back and like, all right, whatever this day has, whatever this day brings, I'm going to attack. And, gotten to have some really good conversations with him in his past month up here. And, he's handled the success so well. Every day at the end of the conversation, he's like, all right, day by day, let's see what this day can bring. And it just feels like he's on base 3 times every single game. The approach is fantastic. He keeps saying, like, I can't wait to be able to put down a bunt. Like, I'm hitting the ball so well. When the defense is going to give me a bunt, I'm going to take that too. Just the way he plays the game, he could probably get a little bit better base running and some of his routes defensively. He's got a pretty good arm that can play all 3 outfield positions. So there's a little bit more seasoning that you might want to see on the extremities of his game. But, man, he's just a solid player.
Is there somebody at that level that we don't talk about enough, or you think we should? And maybe you're not always listening to what we have to say, but in terms of, the guys that we always talk about, and Weatherholt is right at the top of that list. Is there somebody that we should be paying close attention to?
Yeah, it's interesting, of course, with the way AAA is constructed. Like, you get a lot of the guys that are the prospects, of course, that are going to go through the system. But then you get some of the minor league free agent guys, too, where you take a flyer and see how he develops and what he works in your system. And I think an interesting name, and I don't know where he would fit in the situation, is Curtis Taylor. He's been around a long time. He's been with a number of organizations, played in the Mexican League last season, but before his last start, his ERA was at 3.03. He started in the bullpen and then has made 10 or 15 starts since. And he's just been so solid, great arm action, good command of all of his pitches, and works quickly. And then another name that the Cardinals got at that deadline a couple seasons ago that I think is a bit unsung with his bat-to-ball ability is Cesar Prieto. A guy that can play defensively anywhere on the infield. He's not going to be plus anywhere defensively, but he has improved a lot on that side of the baseball. But he just puts bat on the ball so often, leads the team in hits with 82 here at the unofficial halfway point. And I think a guy that can be really interesting with his contact rate.
Alex, give us an update on the progress of Quinn Matthews. I mean, obviously the Cardinals have high hopes for him. He had a setback. They shut him down. It was a little rough at first. Is he starting to look a lot sharper to you?
He is. His last 3 starts have been really good up until right around the end of that 5th inning. That's kind of where he's run into a wall, whether that's fatigue-wise or just workload or whatever that could be. But the process has looked a lot better. The command has looked a lot better, too. There have been a couple of articles written about the difference in the baseball between the lower levels of the minor leagues and then the major league ball that we use at AAA. It's a lot harder. It's a little bit more slick. And so the use of rosin, the use of and having feel of all of your pitches does not come very quickly. And I think Quinn and even Tekoa Roby a little bit saw issue with that and struggled in their first few outings. But Quinn is working back to his normal self, and his last few outings have looked like the dominant strikeout Quinn Matthews of last season.
As I'm sure. Go ahead, Bernie.
Can I just ask? That's bad, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Tekoa Roby. I want to just take it and run with it. Tekoa Roby. Does he look like a major league pitcher to you? soon?
I think he is. I think the thing with him is just getting through an entire season with health. You're right. He's on the 40-man roster, so that call could come at any moment. But being able to trust that, he's not going to be on any specific pitch limit up there, and he's going to be able to do so healthily through the end of the season. So who knows? This could be a debut season later on in September for him to get just an experience start up there, to get that out of the way ahead of next year or seasons in the future. But his stuff is really, really good. I love the breaking ball. I love the way he attacks guys, and he's another one of those fun guys to watch work quickly around the zone and keep the ball game moving, right?
Yeah, and, over the last couple of years, Alex, we have seen Michael McGreevy get a handful of starts here at the big club, but we haven't really had the opportunity to have him here for an extended period of time. So we know what he's like in these short stints. What is he like on the day-to-day?
He's a very intense competitor, and I think he takes that into his day-to-day process of making sure by day 5 of his turn through the rotation that he is at, peak physical shape, peak mental shape to be ready to go out and attack and go through his game plan and do what he's needed to do. I think that's probably the best thing about this entire situation is how he has handled it with his days off. The days he is not pitching, going through mentally and getting himself in a position where, look, all right, it's 12 hours before we're going to call you and pitch game 2 of a doubleheader in Chicago. Where are you mentally? And he's ready for that. I know there's a lot been made about when is it going to be his time. I think August 1st is that I see no option where he is not on the roster for the rest of the season come August 1st up in the big leagues. That just lines perfectly for him and with what the organization needs.
We are talking to Alex Coyle, who calls baseball for the Memphis Redbirds. He's the play-by-play guy down there. Last thing before we say goodbye, I know that you paid attention to the draft and you saw what the Cardinals did in it. It's just an overall feeling about the philosophy they seem to be carrying forward here, which does, I think, to the rest of us, and I'm not an expert on the draft, but it does seem like there's a little something different here than usual.
Yeah, I think you guys covered it very, very well in the last segment about the process and everything that has gone into it and the way it's changed. But I think my favorite thing when MLB Network showed the replays after the Cardinals made their pick in the first round, the intensity that they of the guys that they brought, the grit, the confidence to go out and just dominate people. I think as a pitcher, that's an interesting thing to have, and if you can handle it well and channel it perfectly, that's a dangerous bulldog mentality to have on it and on your team, one that you would rather have on your team than not. And so I think that's my favorite part of what I saw from the draft, and some good young talent. They actually drafted a kid from Memphis in either the 2nd or 3rd round from Houston High School. So we love the hometown benefit of that down here, but really, and look, the Cardinals having high picks, of course, it was painful to get and earn that high pick. But now they get to bear the fruit of that process and get some highly talented guys like the JJs and like the Doyles.
Alex Coyle, we appreciate your time. Thank you for talking with us today. And I know you're looking forward to the season, getting ready back again on Friday.
100%. I will say I'm in Montreal right now enjoying the All-Star break, and there are Cardinals hats all over the place. So the Cardinal Nation is multi-international.
It's great. Good to see that on the road. Thank you, Alex.
Always. Thank you.
Alex Coyle, play-by-play for the Memphis Redbirds, joining us here on KMOX. And, we have a comment from, where do we have? Oh, Samuel is watching us on YouTube and says Keith Law said the Cardinals killed the draft, which that's a compliment. And from my perspective, I don't feel like Keith Law is always that, and he's a draft expert. He's been doing this a long time. I don't think he's always complimentary. So to hear that he is, and that is true, he said they did just about as well as anybody on that first day, especially. So it's good to hear that from the outside perspective.
I've known Keith for a long time. I knew him even back when he was working for the Toronto Blue Jays. And I wouldn't say that he is sparing with his praise, but he deliberates. He's not a guy that just like tosses compliments around to try to buddy up to teams or whatever. He's got a very discerning eye, and he's a great assimilator of information. And a lot of fans don't like him because even he jokes, every fan base is convinced that he hates their team, because he doesn't say
true.
that everything is great. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, the Reds had the greatest draft of all time, So he doesn't like us, He said that their first two picks made them the day one winners in his mind. Yep. And he's all over it. He likes a lot of the stuff that's been going on in the Cardinal system, and he's very much in the forefront of saying the Cardinals made a great move in bringing in Chaim Bloom, and Chaim Bloom is bringing in excellent people that can restore that player development system and get them modernized. So I listen to Keith Law, what he says, because he is careful about throwing praise around. And so when he does, it really means something.
Yes, it does. It resonates. And he said that Liam Doyle, their number 1 pick, number 5 pick overall, was his top pitcher in the draft. So that's it. And hopefully he does turn into something special for the Cardinals. Let's do this, Bernie Miklasz, as we hit the break. Why don't you tell the people about our friends at Saliga?
My pleasure. I love to talk about Saliga Heating and Cooling because I know how great they are, because we have been a Saliga family for 16, 17 years. So when I talk about them, I speak from vast experience of calling them and them coming to our rescue and improving things in our home, solving problems, you name it. And it's no surprise because Saliga Heating and Cooling has been owned by the same family, the Saliga family, continuously since 1927. Our friend Dan Saliga is the owner-operator now, and he has maintained the very high standards that Saliga has always had in place because they take a lot of pride in that name. And, when your family has owned something for nearly 100 years, it does mean a heck of a lot more. I mean, you got a lot on the line, including your family name. So what I can tell you about it without hesitation is we know that Saliga sets the standards in terms of trustworthiness, honesty, knowledge, professionalism, their prompt service. They don't try to hustle, sell, talk you into buying something expensive. As I like to say just about every day here on KMOX, Saliga Heating and Cooling will actually, in our experience and our neighbors and other people I know, that they will look for cheaper solutions. They will say, no, you don't have to spend that much money now. Let's go with this for another couple years. We're going to check on it. When it's time, we'll tell you when it's time. And we trust that. And that's why we're in the Priority Club. And that's what that does. If you're in the Priority Club, it's a maintenance program that extends the life of your equipment. And with their visits to your home a couple times a year, they can catch little things before they become big and costly things. They get the perfect score for me. They're just been great to deal with all these years. So to find out more about Saliga Heating and Cooling, this Daikin Comfort dealer, you can call 314-481-7333 or visit SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
Experience the magic of the Fabulous Foxes 2025-2026 Broadway season, which includes the return of St. Louis favorite, The Phantom of the Opera, and the spellbinding spectacular Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And right now, KMOX has your chance to win a pair of season tickets for the 2025-2026 season. Prize package includes a pair of tickets for all 8 shows in the subscription package. Register now online at KMOX.com/contests for your chance to win.
Hospital Sisters Health System isn't just in your community. We're part of it. Expert care and genuine support backed by a network that puts your health first. HSHS, connected to our community, committed to your health. Visit hshs.org/caring.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Lifestyles Unlimited member Lisa on how our educators and mentors share their knowledge.
The whole Lifestyles Unlimited team is just wonderful, and all the people in it is basically copying what I do so you could be successful.
Lifestyles Unlimited. Over 33 years teaching the real estate retirement roadmap. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for just $297 and save 60%. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling and by Anderson Hospital on 104.1 FM KMOX.
We're going to use it tonight. It's been used in the minor leagues for several years, and we tested it with big league guys in spring training last year. We're in a process directed at bringing it to the big leagues next year. The great thing about it that we didn't fully understand, the rendition on the board afterwards is like a fan friendly.
Yeah, like tennis. Yeah, the Hawkeye technology where it's coming in.
Yeah, that is Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, on the Pat McAfee Show on ESPN, talking about the ABS system, automatic balls and strikes, which is a challenge system that was used during spring training and has been used in the minor leagues, and it will be used tonight at the All-Star Game. And Bernie Miklasz, it sounds like it will be implemented for the 2026 season. I am all in on this. I am so ready for there to be some sort of system to challenge bad balls and strikes calls, which tend to happen at the worst possible times.
My friend, I'm with you now. I wasn't always with you on this because I was ambivalent about it because I wasn't sure if the technology was good enough. I mean, and I've been hearing about this for years. And one baseball writer after another was saying, oh, it's really close. It's really close. And then you'd read 2 months later that they had massive screw ups all over the minor leagues. So I was just kind of like, I can't get into it. But Major League Baseball did a really smart thing in spring training by doing, I don't know how many games, but they used that a lot early in spring training. And so it gave people like me a chance to see it actually in play, in the moment, live baseball. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. First of all, it looks really good. Number two, the process moves quickly.
Yep.
There's no wasted time. And as the commissioner alluded to, the fact that they put the thing on the board that shows you exactly the path of the ball and where it lands, and they do that within a second. It's amazing. I mean, it's actually part of the entertainment. So I'm not sure about going forward, what kind of challenge system they will have, how many challenges, things like that. But I'm all in now. I think it's wonderful because I'm telling you, man, I hate to say this because I've been friends with a lot of umpires. And most of these guys are really good at calling balls and strikes. If you really look at each umpire individually, there's a lot of really good guys. But the guys who are horrendous at it continue to have jobs where if they were in any other profession, they would be held accountable and they wouldn't have their jobs. But those are the guys that just get all the attention, those 7 or 8 guys, for just being horrendous at calling balls and strikes. And I guess we should be grateful because they're so horrendous at it. They get all the attention, and that embarrassment has compelled Major League Baseball to do something about it. And if they can't fire umpires, they're going to say, well, we don't need you to call balls and strikes. We're going to go with technology instead. I like that.
Yeah, I could be, and in fact, I have been a proponent of just doing it. Just let the computer, let the technology call balls and strikes, all of them, instead of there being a challenge system. I'm okay with this because at least there's some sort of recourse for a bad call when there didn't used to be. And what a clearly, blatantly terrible strike call or a ball call at the worst possible time, there was no recourse whatsoever. So I will take this. if the technology does get so good that they could just let the system make the calls all the time, I'm fine with that too. So whatever they want to do, and I'm kind of hoping they move that direction. I did think what was interesting is Manfred in that same appearance on ESPN talking about what finally got the umpires to agree to it. And this goes back to instant replay because they fought that for years. You know that. And they wanted no part of it, he said. But the thing that finally changed their minds for them was they were tired of seeing themselves in highlights on ESPN screwing up big calls. And because of that, they were tired of being embarrassed, so they finally caved on allowing instant replay, and it's in the CBA or their collective bargaining agreement that that baseball can institute the ABS system whenever they want, and now they're going to do it.
And can I tell you another thing that gives me pleasure about this?
Yeah.
And let me preface this quickly by saying this applies to every TV broadcast booth in the majors, okay? I'm so tired of if there's a borderline pitch that goes against your hitter or pitcher, there's whining. Oh, man, he deserved that to be called a strike, Now, if your team benefits from a ball out of the strike zone that's not a strike, you don't hear a peep, right? You don't hear a peep from the home team. Or if a Cardinals pitcher throws a ball, or a Brewers pitcher or a Cubs pitcher or Diamondbacks pitcher or whatever, their guy throws one that's clearly off the plate. It's like, oh, that was close. Hey, boy, he didn't get the call. I am so tired of hearing this stuff, like 20 times a game.
I'll tell you something, Bernie. I think you'd had a real tough time listening to Hawk. Hawk Harrelson was just the master at getting all over umpires. He was by far the most intense at it. He was far. Great. Oh my God! There's a solid gold video on YouTube with Hawk Harrelson. Man, he one of a kind. He really was. My favorite Hawk Harrelson story, now that I'm thinking about it, is the time that Todd Frazier got hit in the face or something. I think it was either hit by a pitch or he went into the stands to get a foul ball and his face hit the seat and he was bleeding and he ran back to the locker room. And Hawk, in the middle of the game, while the game was going on, said, "I'm going to go down and check on him." And he threw his headset down and left like he was going to check on his kid who just got hurt. And it left Steve Stone like, what are you doing? You're leaving me with a broadcast now? It was unbelievable.
It was great. No, I love that story.
Oh.
I'm glad we worked a little Hawk Harrelson in. Absolutely.
Hawk's the best. Bernie, we'll do this again on Thursday. How about that?
I can't wait. Thank you, man. Love working with you.
You too, my friend. Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji. It is the Gashouse Gang. The podcast is available for you wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or you can find it, again, Odyssey app as well. Back with you tomorrow at 12 o'clock on 104.1 FM KMOX.